to me, it was like two people who were both kind of faking it in a way, but it was coming out in different forms. And I think that Mimi-Rose, because she has no boundaries, also genuinely wanted to be would have loved to have been Hannah's friend, like would have thought nothing weird of that, and maybe the thing she also was showing Hannah was like, or he's just a guy. Or he's like just a guy you dated. He doesn't have to be like
this magic.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Girls Rewatch, a podcast about girls,
TV,
and girls on TV. I'm Amelia Retaller.
And I'm Evan Lazarus.
And we are coming to you live from the Spotify studios in
God.
downtown LA.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. I'm shivering.
I know.
Shaking. I have a stomach palpitation, first ever of its kind.
Though this is the first time we've had a huge major guest and we haven't told anyone about it.
No, I know. Except for my friends, my family, my close friends' story on Instagram.
Oh, I haven't told anyone.
Well, you're much better at secrets than I am.
Welcome to Mimi-Rose Howard Week on Girls Rewatch. We will be posting all week about the icon that is Mimi-Rose
Howard. Oh my God.
I'm so excited to have Gillian on the pod.
You don't understand how life-changing this is.
How life-changing Gillian is to both of our individual narratives in this life cannot be understated. Studying Mimi-Rose to prep for this episode, I forgot that she was only in like 3 episodes.
3. I think it's 4. Happy median, it's 4.
She's only in like part of 1 season. To me, she's like one of the biggest characters.
I know, right?
It's like her and Jenny Slate. I'm like, they are actually really big characters.
Right. Well, Jenny Slate famously too.
Yeah, well, you know why they're big characters is because they tell a nuanced story about a girl that's almost rarely ever touched on in the zeitgeist.
They both come in and they leave a giant impact.
Yeah, but just to refresh in your mind, Mimi-Rose Howard journey, we have a quick summary of her time on the show. Here's our Minute to Win It Mimi-Rose edition.
Mimi-Rose Eleanor Howard is an artist living in Brooklyn. Sometime after a bad breakup with her ex, Ace, she's introduced to Adam by their mutual friend Jessa.
Mimi-Rose is introduced in season 4, Cubbies. She opens Hannah's apartment door when Hannah returns to New York after quitting the Iowa's Writers Workshop. Mimi-Rose lets Hannah in. When Adam comes from his room, Hannah asks if she is the new roommate, which he denies. Hannah realizes the two might be in a relationship.
Mimi-Rose and Adam are now living together in close-up. They get in a fight when she offhandedly tells Adam she had an abortion the day before, and Adam feels like she should have discussed it with him. She defends her decision to wait to tell Adam by saying that she already knew what she wanted to do. Mimi-Rose later convinced Adam to stay with her when he almost moves out by saying she doesn't need him, but she wants him.
In Ask Me My Name, Mimi-Rose holds an art exhibition called Ask Me My Name, which Hannah attends with her date, Fran. And she knows she's going to end...
Derogatory.
She knows she's going to run into Adam there. After her date leaves, she, Mimi-Rose, Adam, and Mimi-Rose's ex-boyfriend, Ace, head to an after party at a bar, fiction bar where I used to hold my comedy open mic. They split into 2 cabs with Adam and Ace in one car and Hannah and Mimi-Rose in the other. Mimi-Rose and Hannah start talking about the relationships with Adam and the way their lives are going. On the way, their cab accidentally hits an old woman crossing the street. Awkward.
Happened to me.
While 2 police officers attend to her, they go to a convenience store and a laundromat to use the bathroom and continue talking. As the conversation goes on, they bond over the fact that they have insecurities about the art they do and why they are doing it.
When Ace and Jessa stop by her apartment in daddy issues, Mimi-Rose invites them to stay for dinner. Fry up some sausages. She ends up admitting to feeling jealous of Ace and Jessa, a feeling she claims she's never experienced before, and that she wants Ace back, but then decides she chooses no one. She's focusing on her art and her creativity.
And that's a minute to win in on Mimi. Frost Dissolve joining us in the studio today.
My God.
It's Gillian Jacobs!
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, best day of our lives. Straight up.
I cannot believe that's true. But
when you followed us back on Instagram, we were like,
we cheered up a little.
Really? No, I was so thrilled when I discovered you guys. I love this podcast, and I'm honored that you want me to be on an episode.
Oh.
Mimi-Rose Howard is like an historical figure to us.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and also Mickey. We truly.
Oh.
You don't understand how much we love.
Thank you.
This podcast actually only exists because I watched Love in College, and Mickey seemed like you wore like a cool like jean overall thing.
Yes.
And I was 19. I had no idea what I was gonna do with my life, and I was like, she seems fun. Like, I'm gonna move to LA when I graduate and work in radio. So I literally moved to LA when I graduated and applied for a bunch of radio podcast jobs. And the rest is her story.
Oh my God, you're blowing my mind. You never think when you're just shooting these random episodes that you're having an impact on anyone. I'm speechless. Wow, I'm honored. Thank you.
It changed my life. I was like, oh my God, LA seems fun. This girl's just like in her car. And I mean, Mickey's kind of doing famously bad. But I was like, she has a cool Australian roommate.
Yep.
Like, she's kind of vibing. Like, I like this.
No, she had a great apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, the car, they made it look good on camera. That car was a nightmare to actually drive. Yes, they would always want me to like speed away from somewhere because I'd probably just told someone to like go fuck themselves, and then they wanted me to speed away and the car would stall. So that it looked great on camera. It was a nightmare. I don't wish that car for you in real life. But the rest of it, yeah, I liked her clothes. I liked her roommate. I liked her. Yeah, the job evolved into something. Yeah, she was doing better by the end.
And she had a relationship that lasted over 9 months.
That's
And
true.
almost no one can say that
That's never
anymore.
happened.
Yeah, no,
it's
she got
huge.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
Wait,
know.
what? So Judd is Girls. Judd is that.
Yes.
Is there a link there?
Yes, I was cast on Girls, was shooting it in New York when they approached me about Love. So it all kind of happened at the same time. And it was like Community. I was on the show Community, and that was like coming to an end. And so we'd been canceled by NBC. They had softened the blow of that by I got this amazing part on Girls, and I was having this amazing summer shooting that. And then yeah, Judd asked me if I wanted to play Mickey. So it was all at the same time.
He saw Mimi-Rose and he said he wanted more.
He said more. How do you like? Yeah, I have no idea how it all came to be. And I mean, there's kind of a funny story of how I was cast on Girls.
please
I
tell.
know it, but we want you to tell it again.
Yeah, I was like, I'm repeating myself probably, but maybe for listeners it'll be new to them, which was I was in New York just for something else, walking down the street, walking down Lafayette, and I saw, clearly like a crew and filming something. And even though I'm in the business, I'm still like, what are they shooting every time I walk past a set, And I realized it was Girls, and they waved me inside, and I knew Lena already, and I knew Jenny Connor. And so I just hung out on the set. And I think it was like when Marnie is doing a set at brunch at a restaurant,
Oh, yeah.
I think that was what they were shooting. And
that's so dark.
Yeah, it was
one of her darkest days.
Another iconic scene to witness. And then several hours later, I think my agents called me being like, they want you to audition for Girls. And I was like, I think it's just because I showed up on set that they thought of me to audition for the part. But then, yeah, it all just felt like it all fell together so easily and naturally.
But this is why going for a walk is so important.
You really leave the house.
There's job opportunities on the other side.
There are, yeah.
Yeah, truly.
Kids are trying to get a job after college. They just walk
Go
around.
for a walk.
Just go for a walk.
That's advice.
That's the most amazing story I've ever heard, by the way.
Yeah, and like, by the way, I don't think that happens to most people.
No, and it never happened to me again.
Yeah.
But for that one time, it really worked out. So
I love it. Was it summer in New York at that point? Not really.
it was pre-summer, but warm enough that I was, because I mean, living in LA, I'm now such a wimp about the cold, but it must have been warm enough that I could handle walking.
Well, Marnie was in florals, I remember, so that was spring.
Okay, right. They do go together, and she would dress seasonally. Yes. So
I love it.
very
That's
important.
so funny.
Well, we can't wait to talk about Mimi-Rose Howard, but first, we must ask
my
you the
God.
question we ask everyone on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, what girl are you?
I've been thinking about this, of course, and I think I am probably a Marnie Shoshana mix.
Yeah.
That tracks.
But I am not. Marnie has more self-confidence than I do. She believes in herself in a way that I never have. But probably if you merged the two of them, that would be closest to me. I am not a Jessa, and I am really not a Hannah. I think I am those two. And then Ray. I always related to him very deeply when watching the show.
I think it's a generational thing because you see, every time we have someone that's more millennial, they always identify as a Ray. It's a
Really?
it's a common trope. It's a
And
common
what
trope.
is it about us that relates
Yeah,
to
right.
I don't know. And he's so great in the part
Well, he
too.
tells the truth, and no
He
one's doing
tells
that
the
anymore.
truth.
He tells the truth. That's it.
We were taught from a very young age to lie.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't, but
All right. There's a difference. There's nuance to
There's
all the
nuance.
generations.
Well, then, girl, what girl are you? Mimi-Rose edition.
if she had to be one of the four, which girl do you think she would be?
Wait, if Mimi-Rose was one of, oh, she's Jessa. They're
Yeah.
like, that's why.
Yeah, that's why
yes.
that's why they were friends.
Yeah. And frenemies.
And frenemies.
Yeah, glaring at each other across, partner swapping, all of it. Yeah.
I really wish they had Lord's Girls So Confusing Charlie XCX remix out when this episode was, when you were on.
Yes.
Because it would have just aligned right.
I do remember blasting Green Light Lord walking around that summer. So Lord was with me in the shooting of this. Yeah.
She was there. She
yeah.
was there.
Oh my God, that's so apt. Yes. Okay, we can go back and reshoot.
Yeah, wait, you should.
Oh my God.
Literally.
I'd love a Mimi-Rose update. I mean,
I think we've asked people like who would we want the most to have a spinoff,
yeah.
and it's very strong tight race between you and Elijah.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm like so, I have to say, genuinely touched by people now liking the character, because when the show came out and the episodes aired, I just felt like everyone just hated me because, people were really invested in Hannah and Adam being together. And of course, so anytime people now like Mimi-Rose, I'm so shocked. I was just like, okay, this is my job on this show, is to be
Right.
the first girl that he dates, and for her to have to deal with that. And I'm just going to take
We're getting
it.
bullied by millennial women on the street.
But now people seem to like her, so I'm so thrilled to
I feel like
have
the
this
conversation
happen.
shifted.
I wonder because she kind of feels Gen Z in her way.
All right, great.
Yeah. And she carries herself like a person who's never not been on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel like she'd be making really bad art on Instagram and TikTok, and she'd be I feel like she would be trying to do hologram AI.
Right.
She would be embracing
We're doing
technology.
hologram.
She'd be at the forefront. It's Michael Jackson and Mimi.
I just see her doing showing up at Burning Man as a hologram, but then like bursting through the hologram and being
Right.
there live in the flesh, something like that. She's up to a lot right now. I feel
Right.
like,
She's
yeah.
up to a
I think
lot.
that kind of pretentious artist trope also.
Mhm.
You know what? I ate my words a second ago. I don't see that so often in Brooklyn today.
Okay,
I'm not seeing there are pretentious people, but they're not making art.
all
They're
right.
observing art more than they are making it themselves.
Right.
Maybe she'd be in LA.
I think she might be in LA, but I think because artists have to go on Instagram and TikTok, they have to be so cringy now in order for at least 3 people to see their painting. That
Yeah,
you couldn't have a Mimi-Rose.
Mimi-Rose Howard would have to make vertical content all the
Yeah.
time. Just
Yeah.
crazy.
It would be bad. It
Right.
would be really bad. It would be very cringe, and it maybe be so cringe it'd be incredible.
Right. and
Yeah.
I would follow.
I'm like, if you did a Twitch live stream 24 hours as Mimi-Rose, that would be amazing.
Twitch live stream.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what she would be doing.
That's
It
what
really
That's
would
what she
be.
would be doing. She would be live streaming on Twitch at all times. Yes, that's it. You finally answered it. What is Mimi-Rose up to right now? She'd be doing this too.
No, yeah.
Honestly.
She
Yeah.
would definitely have a podcast.
She definitely
Well, I
have
think
multiple
Substack.
podcasts. Oh yeah.
And a
Oh yeah.
Substack,
Oh yeah.
Yes, video content on the Substack.
which they're really pushing right now. So that's
Yeah.
Right.
huge to be at the forefront.
Yes, and pop-ups, but not even unclear about what the pop-ups are, but just a lot of pop-ups.
Everybody's like, come to her pop up, and they're like, what is it? It's like, it's not about that.
And it's experiential. But you can't leave unless you give her some money, maybe. Nothing's obviously for sale, but you got to pay her on the way out.
I love
Whoa.
it. Wait, so were you watching Girls before?
Yes, avidly. Yeah, so and as I've said probably previously, and I'm probably repeating myself to you guys, my friend Alicia Vancouvering produced Tiny Furniture. So I was aware of Lena and went to go see an early screening of Tiny Furniture. So I already knew her work, loved the movie. So I was watching the show from the moment it came out.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, that's so electric to see like an indie film and be like, I like this.
Yeah.
And then it be like prestige television and be like, I know about
Oh my
this
God,
already.
I was there on the ground floor. I
Yeah.
remember hearing Alicia talking about shooting tiny furniture. So I met. That's how I first met Lena. Was I went
Is
to
that
a
how you first
screening.
met Lena?
I went to a screening of Tiny Furniture,
Wow.
and I
Whoa.
loved it. Yeah, so I was already watching the show, and then I never thought they would want me on the show. So I was like thrilled when I wound up on it. And there were so many other
Whoa.
overlaps, like Zach Quinto, who
Yeah.
is in that arc. He and I are both from Pittsburgh. And so he was like the star of high school theater when I was growing up. And he was a very legendary name for all of us. We're like, Zach Quinto is like the one.
Well,
and
he has that name.
Does
to him,
yeah,
you know?
and I mean just everything about him, the aura, and he went to Carnegie Mellon, and my mom worked there, and I would audit the acting classes when I was still in high school or
Wow.
junior high.
Whoa.
So I was like in the back corner of his freshman and sophomore acting classes as this like weird, strange little kid. So there's so many people from Carnegie Mellon that I'm like, do you remember there was like a little girl and you didn't know why she was in your college acting class in the back corner? That was me.
Oh
So
my
there's so
gosh.
many people like Josh Gad or Matt Bomer
Oh
or
my
Zach that I
God.
first met when they were in college. And
Do they remember you?
some of them do. I think it was strange. Like how
They're
often
like, why is there a little girl?
why is there a
here?
little girl in my college acting
so
class?
funny.
Yes. So Zach was someone that I'd known about. He didn't know me. I knew him. And so that was also amazing.
You get to set. You're like, I loved you in your high school production,
Yeah.
by the way.
I know you were a Gene Kelly, the Pittsburgh equivalent of the Tonys for high
Kelly.
school. You're a Gene Kelly award-winning, really esteemed
Gene Kelly.
actor. Yeah. So I that was like a great thing about that show too, was there were, and like Adam Driver went to Juilliard right after me, but he was already so incredibly charismatic and magnetic that when he was still in college, I was like hearing about him. They're
Oh
like,
my god.
there's this guy at Juilliard who's like incredible and
Oh
he's
my
going to
God.
be a star and everybody's obsessed with him. So none of what's happened with Adam is a surprise at all because
Right.
it
The
was,
alumni group chats have always been saying that.
I'm not on any of those, but even on the ground in real time, I knew Adam was going to be a star. So that was also just funny too.
If you're listening to the pod, please add Gillian to one of your Juilliard alumni group
Oh,
chats.
or no, it's okay. I
I'm
wrote for Lena an essay for Lenny Letter talking about what a terrible time I had at Juilliard. So I think I might be banned from
We were
I know.
about to
I'm
ask
like,
you.
we were about to
chat.
ask you, did Juilliard break you?
It did. Yes, it
Yeah.
did. Fully, it did. And when we were on the set shooting these episodes, I would tell Lena stories about what a horrible time I had there. And then when she started Lenny, she was like, I want you to write an essay about your time at Juilliard. And I was like, who will care about this? Who could possibly care? It's so niche. But I think a lot of people have had terrible times
Right.
at college or art
Yeah.
school or a grad program. And so I wrote this essay that probably has me banned from Juilliard, but people seem to resonate with. So that was like another. I started writing because of Lena and Lenny Letter. She just like kept asking me to write things for them early on, and so like
She is so chic for that.
so chic for that. So thank you again for that, because I mean I don't do it full time, but I would have never started doing any of that without her giving me the nudge.
You should write a book. We'd love to read it, girl.
Ooh, I don't know about that, but I do my nerdy like podcast episodes now about like I did one about the Hollywood Walk of Fame, so I
No
can give you
way.
in depth the history of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So, but that I would credit that to her entirely.
Wait, that's amazing.
Shout out.
Whoa, because we just had
Genevieve?
Genevieve, and she was a social media manager for Broad City, but she liked writing the captions so much that she became a writer for TV.
That's amazing.
It's all it takes is one person to tell you to write.
Yes.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
everyone has a G name.
And everyone has a cheating. Let's cut to our first break, and when we get back, we're gonna dive into Mimi-Rose Howard. And we're back from the break. Oh my God, that was so fun.
The break was so fun.
I love the commercials. They're so good. Mimi-Rose. Okay, how was it pitched to you, or like when your agent was like, they want you to do this? Like,
Yeah.
what did they say about her?
I remember I got the audition sides, and it was like kind of enigmatic artist who's, you know, the first person that Adam is dating, and I don't remember much more than that. I remember going and auditioning for it. I remember I was very paranoid because I was staying at a hotel. I was there doing press for Community, and it was all the NBC Universal talent was staying at this hotel, and so there were paparazzi outside, not for me, but I was worried that they would get a picture of my sides and it would be like a girl's spoiler because I was walking around memorizing my lines for the audition. So I remember being like seeing the paparazzi and like crumpling up the piece of paper, and so that there would be no spoilers,
Oh
because
my God.
you know, it was like everybody was talking about the show and you didn't want to like anything to be leaked or spoiled, and I was
Right.
worried I was going to get into a lot of trouble if like someone zoomed in
Thank God
on
they didn't invent 4K.
I know, and thank God no paparazzi was really taking pictures of me, so it would all worked out in the end. But I vividly remember going and auditioning, and I remember, yeah, it was like a big deal if NBC was going to let me do it, because it was more
Right.
than the normal amount of episodes you're allowed to do guest starring on another show if you're a series regular. And I remember, so I had been offered it, but it was like very unclear if they were going to let me do it. And I remember getting this call being like, great news, they're going to let you do Girls. And I just had this sinking feeling in my stomach, and everyone's going, why aren't you excited? And I said, because they're going to cancel Community, because they know they're going to cancel Community, and that's why they're saying yes to this, because they know if they
Oh.
say no to me and then like a week later they cancel the show, I'll be like, why didn't you let me do that? And sure enough, that's what happened.
Oh my God.
So I had this like joy and sadness where I was so excited to get this part and be on the show, and then I also knew
You're like, the one thing I know to be my life is over.
yes, my only source of stability that I've ever had in my life is coming to an end. So it was a really funny, like, just gut instinct moment that totally proved to be true. So it's all very memorable to me, getting this job. But then it was a complete dream because it was like summer New York, getting to shoot there. The show shot so quickly. I remember they'd like be like, okay, we're done for the day, and it's lunch. And then I like had the rest of the day.
Oh my God.
And I had so many friends. I used to live in New York. I went to college there. I still had so many friends there. And so I just got this like amazing summer living in New York and then working on this amazing show and working with these incredible actors. And so it was really just kind of like a dream come true.
That is so nice.
Summers in New York, it's like that's the only reason you live there.
It's magic,
It's
right?
magic. It's
like,
true magic.
It feels like anything could happen. And
You can walk down the street and get booked.
you
twice.
could walk down the street and get booked, and yeah, just like have the most amazing day of your life. So I got, the show also gave me that. The show gave me like another like magical summer in New York.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
That's-
almost wore the full pajama set for you guys today, but then I was like, that's too much.
You
Oh
have
my
it?
Someone bought me an identical
Oh
one
my
for
God.
Christmas that year. So I don't have the one from the show, but I have the full Mimi-Rose pajama set that I wore last night.
Oh my.
God.
You wore last night?
I still wear it.
You were
It's
trying to
just
get into character for
I was
this?
like, I really have to go. I was looking up, trying to find photos for you guys for your social media posts for the episode.
We're doing the week of Mimi-Rose Howard.
Oh my God. And then I was going to say, I didn't tell you guys. So I went to go get lunch today, and I ran into Jesse Peretz, who directed one of
God.
my episodes and directed so much of Girls.
Oh my God.
And I was like, it was almost like I conjured him because I had been thinking about all of this so much leading up to this today. I was like, Jesse, I'm going to talk about Mimi Rose. He's like, oh my God, that's crazy. That was a fun episode. I was like, people like her now. It's just like, it's wild. I can't believe it. So yeah, you guys are bringing back the spark to my life.
Oh, well, it's an honor and a privilege.
Literally, that's all I want to do on this earth.
It
I
has
swear to
been
God.
so fun with like us redoing Girls, just because we're reading all the like old Vulture articles or
Yes.
BuzzFeed
Yeah.
articles, and the reaction people were having in real time to the show versus us being like, it's awesome and we love every character and we think Hannah's great.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's not what other people were experiencing originally.
Yeah, I think part of redemption for Mimi-Rose too is her conversation she had around abortion with
Mhm.
Adam, right? Where it's like back then it was even more polarizing issue of abortion. There's not really a nuanced conversation about how to navigate an abortion. And what Lena Dunham has always done, like if you look at American Bitches, like have this really distinct conversation that you don't get to see typical media. Like even if we are talking about abortion, we talk about it in Sex and the City. It's just very singular, right? It's like what the typical story of what you think uh there's no typical story for abortion, but whatever you might think of it to be. But you see Mimi-Rose present as someone who takes ownership over her body and has an abortion and doesn't necessarily have the conversation with Adam, but goes ahead and like takes that choice for herself. That's a nuanced take that definitely wasn't on TV at the time. I don't see very much covered now. And when we post that clip on TikTok and Instagram, it's still our most viewed clip ever.
Wow.
Because
It's you
people
in that
really-
pajama set,
Yeah.
being like, Adam, I got an abortion, and him being so upset. Where did you film that, by the way?
We filmed that in Brooklyn. I can't remember the neighborhood, but that I remember they built out her whole apartment for that. Yeah. And I know for those episodes that Lena partnered with Planned Parenthood and
Yeah.
brought them on board
Oh.
for those episodes. And that was a story that she really wanted to tell, and that she really worked with them to craft it and to craft those scenes, and that she had a very like clear vision of that storyline in particular. So yeah, but I remember so clearly her telling me about partnering with Planned Parenthood for those episodes and how important that was to her.
It really is.
Y'all nailed it.
Well, I still hear people talk like this is one of the things that's brought up to me most about Girls is honestly the conversation that it just had about abortion, right? That it left enough of an imprint for people to truly like understand the ownership they could have over their bodies from watching Mimi-Rose. I really do think it's like that's one of the biggest parts of her redemption.
I have to credit
Wonderful.
Lena,
Yeah.
and Jenny Connor and all the writers of the show,
Yeah.
because that was all of them. So I'm just lucky to be the person who got to play the part.
Yeah, of course.
Literally.
They did such a good job writing it.
Also, all your scenes with Adam are just so like, it's always just like watching you be like so like sneaky and like clever, and then Adam's such like a very specific like y'all's two energies together is just so like you
Yes.
don't get it on TV very often.
I mean, he's such a phenomenal actor. It is such a pleasure to work with him. It is like I just gave myself chills, and I was like, that's so douchey that I just gave myself chills talking about acting. But no, it really, you just took me back there to like being in a scene with him, and how much I loved working with him. And yeah, we had this commonality that we had gone to the same school and
Right.
had all the same teachers. So we had even though we didn't really know each other, we had like a baseline of
Mhm.
people who were there at the same time. And I've just loved working with him, and I've run into him every now and again. Like I ran into him in Atlanta. We were both shooting things in Atlanta, and I ran into him at this restaurant, and I just have such admiration for him. Oh, I just saw him in that play he did in New York.
Oh,
That's the last time I
yeah.
saw him. And I have such admiration for him as an actor and like what he chooses to do, and he's so much fun to act with. And I just, yeah, I thought it was so funny that Mimi-Rose is the character who doesn't give a shit about the guy that the protagonist has been
Mhm.
so obsessed with, which is just such a funny thing to see on TV. And it's like upending like, if someone just didn't give a fuck about Mr.
Right.
Big and was like, I don't get it. I like take him or leave him. I'm going to like dump him and never think about him ever again.
Right.
And so I always just thought it was like such a funny storyline for them to do of
It's
like,
so baller for her to be like, I'm focused on my experiential art more.
yes. And like, you've had just, she's just been agonized over this relationship
Right.
with them and trying to figure him out. And Mimi-Rose could kind of care less. It's like, it's amazing.
It really is so good.
Well, because she really does chase him.
Yeah.
And at some point, Mimi-Rose is also like, you can have Adam if you want. This is
Yes.
barely...
Oh yeah, that scene in the laundromat is
Mhm.
the craziest piece of television around today. Like,
I
what was
truly
it
almost wrote you a poem today to hide in the chair and be like, someone wrote you a poem.
Oh my No, and that episode was so fun to shoot too. I think that Lena is such an amazing
Right.
actress.
Oh my God, she doesn't get enough credit.
That
she doesn't get
has
enough credit.
always been my feeling. And I credit you guys for everything you're doing because I feel like I'm getting to experience it again. And I think she's such an amazing actress. She's also such a great scene partner. And just uncomfortably staring at her. It's like, it's so not me. And it's funny because I'd say Mickey and Mimi-Rose, all the characters I've played on television are so far from me as a person
Right.
that it's like always kind of a shock to me that
Right.
they choose me for the part. Where I'm like, why do you want me to do this? But then it gets to like tap into something in me where I would never interact with my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend in that way, but it's like some kind of weird like social wish fulfillment of like just making people uncomfortable and not caring, which is my
Yeah.
nightmare. So
Is it like fun and free, or are you like, this is
So it's
crazy
not
that this girl is
Meisner.
like this?
it's both. I mean, like I'm like, okay, let's like you know, I as a person would be so uncomfortable, but then there's some like weird switch that happens in my brain when they call action where then suddenly it seems totally normal to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like as I've said in many interviews in the past, like a very kind of like boring person who is not very like adventurous in my real life. And so for some reason I keep being given these characters.
they
They see
inspire
something
you?
in you. Or-
I don't act on anything that they not really. I mean, I'm like, that's a different way of being in the world. But no, I'm still just in the house, basically. So I'm not really going anywhere. I'm like, it's a big night out if I like went to a gallery opening.
I mean, she's someone who's, I think both your characters you play, Mickey and Mimi-Rose, they're very inspiring. The fact that they don't necessarily take
They're
not-
so like like
right, exactly. They choose themselves.
Yes.
And not in like a egotistical way or narcissistic way. Like they choose themselves in a way to pursue their art. Like the introduction to Mimi-Rose is in her TED Talk where she's like, at 8 years old, I decided to choose me because half my thinking time was about a boy named Nick or something.
Oh yeah, he just turned 9.
He just turned 9.
You remember it better than I
Yeah.
do. I believe you that's what I said. Yes. No, I love these characters. I mean, I think that's why maybe now people are loving, as you guys have said, I'm only repeating what you've already said, but it's like, yeah, that now people love that about Mimi-Rose.
Yeah, I think like 10 years ago, the idea of taking care of yourself was less of like an accepted
Right.
thing, but then with like self-care marketing, like we're really in a place where it's like you should put yourself first, and suddenly people are like, Mimi-Rose like had boundaries, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, every girl on TikTok now is like, dump that boy, wear an outfit. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's what Mimi-Rose did every single day.
Yeah, wear a full pajama set.
Yeah,
And
literally.
that was another strong memory that came back to me was that when we shot at the apartment set, where we had lunch was blocks away, and I had to walk in the middle of the day
Yeah.
In
wearing
the
that, and I was
pajamas.
very embarrassed. That was like, that's where definitely she and I are very different. I was incredibly self-conscious and embarrassed to be walking around in the middle of the day in the full pajama set, but she wouldn't give a fuck.
No one, by the way, in Brooklyn, the only thing people wear is full pajama sets.
Oh,
around.
really? Okay.
I see girls in 1920s slip dresses
Oh.
every single, like the sleeping gowns every single day with
All
a pair
right.
of boots.
You're ahead of your time.
You're ahead of your
girl.
time. Truly. Mimi-Rose.
Mimi-Rose
Mimi-Rose Eleanor Howard.
Eleanor Howard. Yeah, what a beautiful name.
Yes.
I also have never asked Lena, but I've always assumed that the character Gillian was making fun of my name on because there's a
Yes.
Gillian, there's an off-screen Gillian on the show.
I remember that needle drop.
Yeah, and I remember watching the episode and I'm like, I bet that's me because I have such a weird
Yeah.
name.
I feel like there was a podcast I listened to like 6 years ago where you explained that your mom like read your name off a thing.
Yes.
And so like since we're doing it, people are always being like Gillian Jacobs.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's Gillian.
It's Gillian. I know I've given up on correcting people because it's exhausting, and also I understand that most people say Jillian. But yeah, so my mom read the name in a book, had never heard anyone say it out loud, and she thought it was Gillian, so I'm Gillian, and no one can ever say it correctly. But
Have you met
it's
another
hard.
Gillian?
Yes, I have, and it's an instant bond.
Truly.
Yes, it is like deep, like I see you. Yeah, there's a director, Gillian Flynn wrote Gone Girl. I don't know her, but I feel a connection to her. There's a singer, Gillian. I remember when I was little, I was in a department store with my mom, and she lost track of me, and she started calling my name, and this random woman walked up to her and was like, yes. She's like, my name's so unusual. I thought you must be calling me, even though we don't know each other. So it is a strange, rare name.
It's a strange, rare name.
It's a strange,
it really
rare
is.
name.
And
Yeah.
so is Mimi-Rose Howard.
Yeah. Mimi-Rose, I almost feel like is easier for people to wrap their heads around than Gillian, though.
Well, yeah, it's a girl's name
Absolutely.
followed by a rose name,
Yeah.
followed by a boy's name.
Mm-hmm.
I can get my head
Right.
around that.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Adam get so mad at you about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't know your middle name.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
how long were you guys together? Truly 8 weeks.
It's short, right? I don't know.
Right.
She goes to Iowa. That doesn't last. She comes back.
In
I-
our heads, Mimi-Rose Howard was on 2 full seasons
Really?
of the show.
Oh, thank
and
you.
then it was like, oh, it's only like 4 eps.
Yes, no, yeah, it was a brief run. And I was sad that it made sense that she dumped him, but I wish she could have hung around.
Oh, absolutely.
But she's alienated everyone. Like, who would she be hanging out with?
It's just, it would have been cool if like in season 6, like her and Jessica got lunch or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring her
Fine.
back. Run it back,
Missed
please.
opportunities
Missed
there.
opportunity.
I
But
know.
was your first scene filming the one where Hannah gets home from Iowa? And
Yes.
You're like, hey.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in the apartment. It's like, even though I'm an actor and that should not be, like that moment for me, I was like, I'm on the set.
Oh
I'm
my
in
God,
the
I'm in the
apartment. Oh
You're
my God.
posting a selfie
Yeah,
on your Finsta.
Wait,
like, oh
where
my God.
was the apartment exactly?
I can't remember the name of the sound stages. It's probably Long Island City, maybe Silver Cup, or I can't remember where it
Right.
was. But it was also, yeah, like I, had a couple of years of unsuccessfully auditioning for a lot of television shows there. So I was like, oh my God, I'm actually working here. The van picked me up and drove me here. Like, I've made it. It was a lot of like full circle wish fulfillment for me shooting.
Literally.
Yeah.
Where do you? I do think about where when you watch a show, you so connect with these characters.
Yes.
And the one question at the end of every show is like, where are the characters now?
Yeah.
We kind of
2025
talked about where
Mimi-Rose.
Mimi-Rose is, but I'm like, does she have children? Is
Mm.
she still pursuing the arts? Did she finally make
Yeah.
it? Did she get a book deal? Even though she
Hmm.
didn't want that.
I'm trying to think. I definitely think she got into what was the art crypto, like what
Oh
was
my
it?
God,
Um,
NFTs.
Yes, I deeply
Oh.
think she got into NFTs, and she either lost everything or quietly made millions of dollars.
Right.
Like, got in early and made millions of
That's
dollars
so
on
funny.
NFTs.
She reminds me of like Miranda July.
Oh my God, that would be her hero.
That would be her hero.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yes. And Miranda July, like novelist, filmmaker,
Actress.
Yes, Miranda July is everything.
Do you watch her TikToks ever?
I don't have TikTok.
Oh my God. Okay,
You're
so
free.
she's the only person making art on TikTok.
I believe
I would
that.
argue.
That would be what Mimi-Rose would
Yeah,
want to
exactly.
be doing. Yes.
'Cause
Being
Miranda-
the only artist on TikTok.
Because Miranda July will stand in one spot with a song playing that you've never heard of or could even think of, and then she'll move a little bit. And like around her room, she's like on top of a couch. And it's like, well, by the way, I'm in trance, and yes, this is about an internment camp or something.
I gotta follow her.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
She's incredible.
Was
Yeah.
there any people that you knew like in your 20s that reminded you of Mimi, or was there anything that inspired kind of you're like, I think I know how I want to play this girl?
I was maybe like 3 degrees of separation. So a lot of my friends were like photography art students from NYU. So that was I went to this
Us
summer.
too.
Yeah? Did you guys go to NYU?
No, but
No, but
living in New York,
culturally-
yeah.
Culturally, you find yourself there.
Yeah.
Like Juilliard had no campus. It had no like it was a building in Lincoln Center, which is like a really weird college experience.
Yeah.
And
66.
66 and Broadway, we used to have an overpass. That was our like common area, and they've now torn it down.
Oh
There
my
used to be this
gosh.
overpass between Juilliard and the rest of Lincoln Center. So I did this like summer arts program in Pennsylvania where I'm from, and I went back as a I'm going deep. No one will care about this,
No,
but
people love this.
okay.
This is what they want to know.
I went
actually.
back. I was a TA when I was in college and became really good friends with this girl, Sam Contis, who was also from Pennsylvania. And she was at NYU for photography. So my senior year, we both came back and I just started going down and hanging out with all of her friends because I loved meeting people who weren't like in the arts, they weren't actors, a different art area. And there was more going on than there was at NYU. So through them, I would go to a lot of gallery openings and I met a lot of artists. And so I feel like I was in the same rooms as maybe a prototypical Mimi-Rose, but I didn't
Right.
really know them, but I met them. And so when I was thinking about it, I was like, all those gallery openings I'm going to. And like,
Yeah.
it was always so funny to me because all their like second and third degree friends would be like, what do you do? You're an actor. Oh, you can't do anything for me. And like immediately dismissed, and it was, I always got such like pleasure out of going to the things where I was
anything
just
for me.
observing all of them because like they didn't really want to talk
They
to me
didn't want
because
to use
I wasn't in the
you.
art world. I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything
Who are
for
they
them.
photographing if not actresses?
Not actresses. No, Sam did take some pictures of me early on, but not in a long time. But yeah, so I was sort of tangentially in the art world in New York through those friends. So I've been around it, but there wasn't one person that I was specifically drawing on. But I feel like Mimi-Rose and Mickey were both girls I was like scared of at parties.
Right.
Where I'd like barely be invited to a party and they'd be like the center of the party
Yeah.
and I'd be on the periphery like observing them and like I'm like they'll hate me, they'll think that I'm basic, they will never want to be friends with me.
Right.
So I'm like watching them from across the room.
You were doing a character study.
I was
You
all
were
I didn't
prepping.
know it. I was doing a character study the whole time of all the girls
That's
I'm
very
afraid
Lena
of.
coded, honestly.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, both very observant people.
Yeah.
Shy and quiet. A lot of social anxiety. Assuming everyone hates me at all times.
It's important to walk into a room and be like, everyone's for sure mad at me already.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is how I move through the world. So a lot of observing.
I love it. I love that Mimi-Rose Howard's specific like role was to kind of represent for Hannah like the version of herself she wanted to be but was failing at. Did it feel fun to like interact with Hannah's character in a way where you're like being kind of the other side of that?
I didn't think about it in that way. But that's now that you say that, I totally see it. I think that it was like to me it was like two people who were both kind of faking it in a way, but it was coming out in different forms. And I think that Mimi-Rose, because she has no boundaries, also genuinely wanted to be would have loved to have been Hannah's friend, like would have thought nothing weird of that, and maybe the thing she also was showing Hannah was like, or he's just a guy. Or he's like just a guy you dated. He doesn't have to be like
This magic.
yeah,
thing.
or he's just a guy. So that's I guess how I thought about it when we were shooting it. But I always feel like I could just get stuck in the moment to moment of the scene that I'm doing, and I never think really about the greater meaning of it until somebody says something really astute, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that symbolized. I was just like beat to beat in the scene, but I always just thought the show was also just so funny.
It's the funniest show I've ever watched.
Because every line is a joke, but
Yeah.
then it's like played seriously.
Yes.
So it's like no shows are like that.
And I'm so glad you guys are doing this show because I feel like I'm getting to like appreciate the show again and how funny it is. Like I said, what a great actor. But I mean, like, I love the Marnie love. I feel like Allison did such an amazing job with that character.
Incredible.
And I feel like there's like all this love and appreciation
Yeah.
for her now. And I feel like she's so deserving of that. That performance is one that I think about all the time.
I mean, it's a lot of the discourse in the comments that we get are people realizing, like, maybe we were wrong. Like, it's them being like, wait, this is awesome. Or they're like, wait, this girl's trying her best.
She was trying her best. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And now it's so funny that I play Eben's ex-wife on The Bear because
Yeah,
he
literally.
was on the show at the same time too. And the one thing I've gone back to rewatch was I was like, I remember being on set with Eben, but I don't know if we had any dialogue. And then I watched that scene and like one of us exits and the other one enters. So we were never on screen together on Girls. But that is also such like a funny full circle thing that I
Yeah.
now get to work with Eben occasionally. And he's such a tremendous actor. And I feel like Girls was the show that like kind of first
No,
introduced him
the
to
cast
people.
of Girls,
The
no one's gone on
cinematic
to,
universe is
not a
created.
single person has gone off to do something bad afterward. They're all in like the most acclaimed, most interesting projects out there.
And Natasha Lyonne saying unconscionable is something is like that is I don't know, that line is burrowed so deep in my brain. I don't know if
In
that's
her
too deep of a
stupid
cut.
little hat.
Oh, Natasha on that show is so great. Yeah, everyone the shout out to Jen Houston, the casting director, because she did a phenomenal job.
So good.
And yeah, it's always such a delight when I now like run into people. But yeah, and especially getting to work with Eben because he's such a good actor. It's like
Yeah,
such
he
a gift.
seems like it.
He is really truly such a gifted actor, and it's kind of the same way I felt working with Adam Driver on Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, bring up the funny thing again. It's like it is. It's one of the funniest. We were rewatching all of Mimi-Rose Howard's.
In our
Uh,
Santa Monica hotel this week.
We're
And we were just laughing.
truly dying laughing.
Yeah,
I mean, we talk about like we see like Hannah's performance with Adam, and it's where she's finding out that Adam now is dating Mimi-Rose, and she's wearing that backpack, and she has a fuck ass bob on,
yes.
And-
The fucking backpack with the ball.
Mm.
and you're like, that girl's not serious, and then she delivers the most like wrenching.
Like her eyes are.
I know. The moment, or I think you guys posted this, like when he tells her that he's broken up with Mimi-Rose. I mean, her performance on the show is like both hilarious and heartbreaking, and I'm kind of in awe of it because. I mean, she was like going into the trailer in between setups and rewriting or like writing the next. I mean, the amount of like she didn't direct any of the episodes that I was in, but the amount that she took on for that show, and how kind of effortless it felt when we were doing it. And I know how much work and how much effort it truly is, but she was able to juggle all of that in such an amazing way, and then still have the because just acting is a full-time job for me. Like it takes everything in me, but she was able to do everything on the show and still give such an incredible performance.
And she wasn't lacking anywhere.
No,
It's unreal how many hats she wore so effortlessly.
You should see the impact she has on Brooklyn today.
really.
Like it's absurd.
In the way that I feel like in Brooklyn, maybe when you were there, everybody was like referencing Sex in the City, and they're like, "I want to be a girl like Carrie." It's like every single person we meet is like, "I'm a Hannah. I'm a Hannah. I want to be a Hannah." Like
Well,
everybody,
just like Lena Dunham as a person as well.
everybody wants to write the next Girls or be like Lena Dunham. It's like cool.
Yeah, you ask anyone at a party, like, what projects are you working on? Are you writing anything? They're like, every single time, you're like, 4 friends in New York City, and they're doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled that you guys still like the show and want to talk about it. Because like that's another thing as an actor, it's like no matter how much fun you're having making
Yeah.
something, there's no guarantee that it'll resonate with people when it comes out, let alone to like a decade later take on kind of a new life. I'm now getting people coming up to me just about Mimi-Rose.
Really?
Yeah, which I find so gratifying and shocking, and I don't take any of it for granted.
Yeah, people really like it.
Mimi-Rose is major.
Yeah, truly.
Hashtag
Truly.
it.
Hashtag it. Are we still hashtagging?
No, but ironically.
Okay, yeah. She would
Ironically
maybe
hashtag.
unironically hashtag it. She would have a full paragraph of hashtags on her TikTok post.
I love it. Okay, last question about Mimi-Rose. We're kind of wondering, in your eyes, do you see her as a villain, or is she just kind of like a quirky girl who actually low-key has good intentions? Because I watch her and I'm like, yes, the whole scene with Ace and them and being like, I'm experiencing jealousy for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, babe.
Yes.
But like her relationship with Hannah and
Mhm.
actually being like, I'm glad you're here, or like, let's talk to me. It's like, to me, I feel like that is how girls are. And even if there is some sort of like tension between y'all, it seems like to me at least, that like Mimi-Rose genuinely is like curious about Hannah and like wants the best for her.
I think that's true. I think she's not a villain, and I think she could have handled some things better. I think she like, but she's a person,
Right.
so she's like, she's not a villain in my mind at all.
I feel like, and she's taught me about like voicing an emotion out loud and actually can help resolve a situation.
Yeah.
The whole experience of her being like, I'm jealous, of watching Jessa and Ace interact with one another, I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine you just say your feelings out loud and people kind of register what you're going through and they react to it?
That was such a wild scene to shoot.
That dinner scene is so like the act 3 of a play.
It is. And people like me just saying things and watching 3 people respond to it. And it was a really funny scene to shoot. Yeah. And I also think Jemima's such a terrific actress and
timeless.
And so I mean, look at me. I got to be in a scene with the 3 of them. I was like, I won.
And you got to be the crazy girl in it.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do with that cast. Please.
It was the writing. I just had to show up. Yeah, I know you guys want to talk about the outfits too. I just had to put on those clothes and say those lines, and there it was.
I love it. Well, let's cut to our second break, and when we get back, we will get to our last 2 segments. And we're back. Gillian, girl, get your Glock. It's rapid fire time. We're going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. Don't think twice. Are you ready?
Ready.
Are you a schoolgirl or are you getting schooled, girl?
I think I'm getting schooled, girl. I'm not thinking. I don't know what it means.
Are you a voice of your generation or a voice of a generation?
I'm a voice of a generation.
What's your favorite utensil?
A fork.
What is your name?
Gillian.
What's Mimi's middle name?
Eleanor.
How do we get Jenny to wave us over?
I don't remember what this means.
From your walk.
Yell.
Would Mickey and Mimi get along?
They would definitely get into a blowout fight at some point and then be best friends again.
Literally.
But there would be sparks.
There would be sparks.
Who do you think Adam should end up with?
Adam.
Yeah, he should choose himself.
Yeah.
Was RISD the best 4 years of your life?
I hope not. I'm hoping onward and upward for her.
What's the second installation to Ask Me My Name?
The second installation to ask you your name.
Maybe there isn't one.
It's a thinker.
It's a thinker. Maybe some kind of like the Moth Storyteller pod pop-up at Grand Central Station.
Live
Very
stream.
separate.
Yeah.
Where is Ace now?
Ace now has moved back home and is coming out with a line of toothbrushes that are also something else. He hasn't quite worked that out, but he knows it's going to be multifunction.
You're so Ace coded up.
I literally. Do you think Mimi is polycool today?
I don't know what that means, so yes.
You nailed it. You got 100%.
100%. That's so funny.
We think Mimi-Rose chose no one because she could only choose one. But now that Polly's in Brooklyn, we're like, oh, she could just date both of them, no worries.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally.
That's
I
the
know.
2025.
It really
yeah.
is like I know about 10 polycool
Oh,
couples
okay.
in Bushwick. It'd be huge.
Great.
Yeah, should we be in a polycule? We're working on it.
We're working on it
Okay.
after that.
Okay, our last segment of the podcast.
That outfit in Brooklyn.
Oof.
That's where we compare Brooklyn then to
We're
Brooklyn
now.
Yeah.
Now, Mimi-Rose Howard, we have to wonder if she existed, like if she was her today, not her 10 years older, but her today in Brooklyn.
Okay.
I feel like we have
kind of imagined that.
We have imagined that. I would say, to go back to it, she was on a cutting edge of Substack. Like, she saw that
Yeah.
silver bulletin, and she's like, actually, I can do something completely different and fun. She's kind of a Rain Fisher Kwan character.
She's internet princess.
She's internet princess.
Great. I'm thrilled for her. And by extension, whatever that means for me.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, like, okay, so you're telling me that the pajamas would be fine.
I think she'd actually have a line of pajamas.
Okay, great.
I just,
Right.
it's like, are girls wearing pajamas like that then or now? The answer might
Pajama
be no for
sets?
both.
I mean, I've definitely seen there have been, like, didn't Prada do some, like, silky version of it? Like, I feel like there was definitely a moment of, like, high-end,
I
The
will
pajama
say-
sets have never been more in the zeitgeist than maybe last year and this year.
okay.
I of course only wear hoodies to bed with like micro shorts.
Mm-hmm.
But my new subletter roommate is always in a matching set
Yeah.
in a very Mimi-Rose way. And
Oh.
I'm like, wait, should I like get on Emma's wavelength? What's going on?
I mean, there, you know,
Get on
if
Emma's wavelength.
if you're lazy and boring like me, you know, it's easy. But yeah, I think it's like to wear it to bed is one thing. To wear it walking down the street is another. So I'm trying to remember her other outfits. I remember I had like a ladder necklace.
We had an amazing apron that said "Ask Me My Name."
Yes,
of
that was my
course.
art.
That was your art.
That was
your
my art. Yeah. Definitely. I don't know. Would somebody wear that now? Could you see
An
somebody?
apron,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, apron. All right.
I do think the bodega has not changed at all, and also
Uh-huh.
pie and thighs were they are in that Uber and it hit someone.
Yes.
That's still there.
Okay, great.
So it's Paquito, which
What-
was a bar that
What kind of popsicle did you get?
coconut.
Coconut.
I don't know if people are getting coconut.
No,
popsicles.
coconut. By the way, it's bigger now than ever.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. We were just talking about this.
Oh, well, Evan went to a food expo thing in Anaheim this week.
Uh-huh.
And the best snack that he brought was blue corn tortilla chips, but cooked in coconut oil.
Ooh.
Honestly, it changes your life.
All right.
It's like a different flavor profile than you would imagine.
I'm open to all of this. Sure. Yeah.
I do think maybe Mimi-Rose would be in her podcast game as well.
Mhm.
I really feel like,
Video essay.
you know, and just like that, when Carrie gets a podcast and you're like, wait, what? But like if Mimi-Rose were to get a multicam podcast,
A
even with
multicam
Shady
pop.
Ass, I feel like that could really work.
It could really work, but it would be like we said, it would be experiential. It would go on for a really
Right.
long time.
Yeah.
There would be like a sculptural element to it. Like at one point she would just be existing in like a plexiglass box as well. It would be silent.
Yeah.
And that would really be challenging your conceptions about what a podcast is. Does it need sound?
Yeah.
Does it need talking? Is the silence more telling? I think that she would really be doing
Literally.
some exciting things with the genre.
There was someone I think truly that might have been inspired by Mimi-Rose the other day. They went to Union Square Park and they wore a sign that said, "Let me help you with something."
Oh,
And I guess for every day for a month, they walked around New York City, and if anyone asked them for a favor, like put a shelf up, babysit their kid, they went around and they helped those people for the day. And that to me is so Mimi-Rose.
look at her go.
Yeah, but she might vlog it.
She would definitely vlog it. She would definitely vlog it.
Full
Do you think
proof.
she'd be selling? She'd have merch too at this point.
I
I-
very much
No
feel like
one-offs. Like she would buy
Oh,
something from the
oh,
thrift
oh.
store, and then she'd take a print and she'd put it over like a graphic.
she'd be
tee.
like, it's sold out. Like it
Yeah.
would just be sold out on the
One of
website.
one.
one of one.
But it's very almost Caroline
Restocking
Calloway.
soon.
Like
Mm.
she'd be selling snake oil.
And the
Oh,
books, like
wow.
very elaborate
Yeah.
books. Yes, I could see that too. Like,
She would be amazing at getting a book deal.
yeah, she would talk a really good game, but
Yeah.
would
She would
she
talk a
ever
really-
write it?
It's not about that.
No. It's the advance. That's what counts.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Caroline Calloway finally got around to writing her book.
She did.
1 of 3. Well, now she's 2 of 3 out. So maybe, who knows?
Who
I'd hope
knows?
for the best. Well, thank you so much. For
Oh my
doing
God!
the
Thank you guys
pod.
for having
This is
me.
the best day of our lives.
I'm
we had
so
so much
honored.
fun.
This was literally so fun. And if you could go back to college me and be like, guess what happens in 6
literally.
years, girl, I freak the fuck out.
Oh my God, that means so much to me. I'm just so thrilled.
I love it. Well, thanks for
where
being
can
on
people
pod.
find
what
you?
what are you up to?
Oh, my nerdy podcast. That's what I would like to
Literally,
direct people
please.
to. I've been doing guest podcasts for this podcast called 99% Invisible. So I did one about the history of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I did one about the history of the LA River. So if you go to 99% Invisible, I really enjoy doing that. And what else have I been? I'm on an animated show called Invincible that's on Amazon Prime.
Really
And
amazing.
more The Bear coming out, and I don't know what else, but
That's a lot of things, by the
maybe
way.
watch Love. Maybe if you haven't watched Love,
Please
You could be
watch
watching
Love.
Love.
if you like this podcast and you like Girls and you like Broad City and
You
you
like
haven't
Judd
seen Love,
Apatow.
maybe watch
Yeah.
Love.
Love is so good.
It's an LA love story. And it's also really the only show I can think of that's truly just based around one singular relationship for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And that's truly, you don't understand, like, not healed, but me and my dad, like, watched every single episode together.
Really?
It was something that, like, we both, like, sat down, we really enjoyed. We thought your character was so interesting, and it's such a complex show.
Yes.
It's really, it gets to a lot of issues, and I was like 18 or 19 at the time, and like came home from college, and me and my dad would just sit down, we'd watch Love.
Do you
So
think we were gonna bring up Mickey so much on the pod today?
I hoped you would. I mean, I kind of feel like that show
Yeah.
my secret hope is that people kind of like
I want to have
rediscover
a
that
big resurgence.
in the way that you guys have helped with Girls. That's been my secret hope because I'm really proud of that show and I loved playing that character. And like, if you were to say like, who would you want to play again tomorrow? I'd probably be Mickey. Like if I could
I
Mickey
do it
really
again.
reboot
Yeah.
now.
that would be
Okay, maybe
so much fun.
We can go back and watch some Love.
Okay, we'll
For
cover Love on
Patreon
the
only.
rewatch.
I don't know, for the
Well,
subscriber
literally
tier.
we do talk about it all the time when we talk about what we want to watch next.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, this was so fun.
Thank you
We had
guys
the
for
best
having
time.
me.
Thanks again, Gillian, for being on the pod.
If
Thanks for everyone for
yeah,
listening.
If you like this episode, please rate and review. And go ahead and listen to us on Patreon. And we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.